Ben, I'm an alcoholic. Lack of power, that was our dilemma. We had to find a power by which we could live, and it had to be a power greater than ourselves. Obviously, but where and how were we to find this power? We can only clear the ground a bit. If our testimony helps sweep away any prejudice, and it enables you to think honestly, encourage you to search diligently within yourself, then, if you wish, you can join us on the broad highway. With this attitude, you cannot fail. The consciousness of your belief is sure to come to you. Chapter 4, We Agnostics.
Thanks, buddy. All right, and help me introduce and give a warm welcome to Carolyn P. from Alexandria, Virginia, by way of Baltimore.
Okay. Oh, thank you so much. My name's Caroline. I'm an alcoholic. Can you guys hear me okay? Yeah. All right. Just in thinking about step 2, and I know that we were led in by Teddy with a really beautiful prayer this morning, but honestly, just selfishly, let's just take another minute and get quiet. Maybe take a couple deep breaths. And just acknowledge and lean into whatever power you're willing to believe in. Lean into the comfort of that power. And I'm just going to ask that power to help each of us, mostly me, but also you guys, to set aside, anything that we think we're supposed to hear today from me, anything that I think I'm supposed to say, to take away everything in me that wants to look good or sound good or be any type of way other than how I am. Help me just to share honestly and share my experience and just be myself. Amen. Thank you. That helps me mostly. It's like something I learned at some point along the line where it's like it's like get quiet until my heart stops beating as fast, and then I know it's like okay to move on. So when thinking about step 2, that actually is pretty powerful. My experience here in Alcoholics Anonymous and these kinds of things, it's hard to talk about these steps like in isolation from one another. So I'm going to try maybe like not to do that because I think it'll get a little weird. But I think enough is going to come out. Enough about step 2 is going to come out. And I want to thank Sarah for getting us started. I'm really glad that I didn't have to do that. It's so much easier when somebody else gets it flowing for you, And then she was like, everyone else is going to be so eloquent, and I'm like, no, this is going to be highly disorganized. If you have ever heard me speak before, it's just whatever comes. Teddy knows because he's seen it in action. Probably the last time I spoke, I think, on whatever that Sunday night group was. It was insane. It's just my brain is here, and then it reminds me of something over there. And I don't try to change it anymore because I've learned right over the years that that works really well for people who have brains like me. You know what I mean? Some people are they're on board with the disorganization of it, and other people are just what? Usually people say they like my enthusiasm because I think that comes across. You guys are really nice. So let's see. I want to thank Teddy. I want to thank the committee for doing this kind of thing and for asking me to speak. I'm terrified. to be up here, and I have all those thoughts in my head that are just like, why are you doing this? Like, you are not like these other people, that are asked to speak, and like, I really think I'm just gonna fumble around the microphone for about an hour, and hopefully that doesn't happen, or maybe it will, but like, I'm just like, right, let's like set aside the expectations, because I'm telling you, the harder I try at these things, the weirder it gets. Like, it just doesn't work out well. I wanna thank my boyfriend Matt for coming. He's not an alcoholic, and he's gonna be here all day. Isn't that nice? Like that's incredible. Like, I'm telling you, I also have like the relationship stuff, like that. Like, man, anybody who's known me throughout my sobriety knows, like, that has been like second to alcohol, the thing that I have just been like most obsessed with, just like getting the right relationship that was gonna make me feel okay. And some of that still comes up today, but I just sometimes can't believe that, you know what I mean? That it's like, that's really great. It's really, really great to be able to like, find someone who is just willing to open their heart to participate in this stuff with me. It's really special. So, and you guys are all really nice to him. Like, that's the coolest thing. Like, some members of my old home group are here. It's beautiful. Like, they know him, you know what I mean? Like, they're nice to him. Like, he's nice to them. Like, he gets into this stuff. I think we were making a joke last night where, like, Matt was talking about, like, well, if you start, you can't stop, like, raise your hand or something, and I'm like, his hands went up. I'm like, put your hand down. Like, you don't, like, he doesn't, like, and, like, don't think he, like, maybe belongs here. Like, he definitely doesn't. Like, he doesn't. If you if you put a drink in front of him, like, he probably won't drink it most of the time. I don't know, I'm talking a lot about him. Anyway, all right, let's get back on track. Okay, so I have a sobriety date. It's May 5th of 2016. I have a sponsor. I changed my sponsor kind of recently. I had a lot of big changes in the last year, but around like August of this year, I moved from Baltimore to Alexandria, Virginia, which is where I'm from now. I don't think there are that many people from that general area, but if you are, please come find me. I want to know you, I'm still new there, I'm still getting my feet on the ground, and like, I'm always down to try a new meeting. I'll go to your home group, it'll be fun. But I moved from Baltimore to Alexandria. I quit my career and I'm headed towards another one, and I'm going back to school. I moved in with my boyfriend. Just a lot of things happened. I changed my sponsor. All of those things happened in about a month of each other, and it's been like a really, really cool experience. Like, I don't know, and I didn't plan it. Like, I wasn't like, this would be a good time to change everything at once. I didn't even have, you know what I mean, like, plans to change my sponsor. Like, that wasn't something I planned on even doing. It just, I can share more details about that with somebody, like, one-on-one. I don't want to put it from the podium, but yeah, it all just kind of happened then, and it's been so beautiful. And I'm telling you, like, my relationship with God is just like, it's always hard. It's always hard to like put into words. Like, I've always found it hard, right, to put into words like my relationship with a higher power. But it is like, I don't know. It is just different than it has ever been for me. And I have a little bit I can share about why that is, or why I think that is. But it has been just a remarkable experience to like go through all these changes, and going through the steps with a new sponsor is always like a really cool experience. Like, something I knew I wanted to say at some point in the share is just like, I've been at these different points in sobriety, usually like every couple years. Some that I heard Sarah talk about, where it just felt like I just made such a mess of everything, and I just feel so broken inside, and I don't know what to do. And I really don't know what to do. You know what I mean? Like, it gets to that point again where I just like, oh my God, I have to go back. Not back to AA, because I never really leave, but it's like I have to do like AA stuff again. And I'm just like, what? Like, I've already done it. You know what I mean? Like, I've done it so many times. And it just like, I hit these spiritual bottoms that like, I get to this point where I'm like, okay, like I need to go do some kind of work again. And I think like, it's not gonna work. You know what I mean? I'm like, I've already done it. And I get to those places where I'm like, I don't know what else this place is gonna offer me. You know what I mean? Like, I've been to a ton of book studies. Like, you listen to all these speakers or whatever it is, and I just think there's nothing else for me here. And I've tried it all, and like, maybe this is just it. I think a lot of people can relate to that. I know I could at different points in my sobriety where I've just looked around and thought, like, is this it? You know what I mean? Where, like, I don't really feel great. It's better. You know what I mean? Like better than it used to be, for sure. And can I also just say that? Like I've been to so many like AA events lately. Not that many. I went to a retreat last weekend and now I'm here, so it's like a lot back to back. But it feels like a lot. We're just like the stories that we hear. Like Alcoholics Anonymous like works real miracles. Like it is literally insane, and like you hear people from the podium, and I'm like, I'm so glad they're not drinking anymore. You know what I mean? It's like they're like, it's just we are insane. Like we are insane when we are out there, and we're like we hurt people, right? And we're like dangerous, you know? Like sometimes like and it's like Alcoholics Anonymous, like it changes like not just our life, but like anybody who interacts with us, and it is crazy. Like it is remarkable. Like I think about some people who I know and love, and I really want them to get well. You know what I mean? I really want them to get well, and they're just not there right now. And I hear you guys speak, and it just like reminds me that it's like we really do like work real miracles here, and like it's really like no matter how far down the scale we've gone, like it's just remarkable. So I'm just kind of blown away in this weekend and last weekend with just like what Alcoholics Anonymous is capable of, and like changing the lives of us. So I'm a hopeless drunk. So I have a sobriety date. I think I told you what that was. I have a sponsor. It is a crazy new experience. I've never been loved this much by a sponsor. she'll tell me, she'll be like, you're killing it. I'm like, what? I'm like, no sponsor has ever talked to me like that in my life. You know what I mean? She's like so nice to me, And it is just like the most loving experience like I've ever had. And it's beautiful. Like, and I needed it. Like I needed it so bad. Let's see, I sponsor others in this program. You know, I'm available for that if anybody wants to talk. After the meeting, sponsorship is a beautiful part of my life. It's been huge changes with that too. Like, it's the first time in my sobriety, like, where I'm really just like unattached to like the outcome of sponsorship. You know what I mean? Like, I know we're like supposed to feel that way. You know what I mean? But like, I've never actually like felt that before. Where like, I'm not worried about like anybody like going out and embarrassing me by saying something nutty at a meeting or something like that. Like, I'm just like I'm not worried about that anymore. And I'm not worried about like when I think about like all the things that like I just used to be like, I wasn't willing to let go of the things that I had to let go of until I was willing to do it. And like, there's something there with just this newfound like respect for the people that I sponsor, where I just like to love them where they are, you know, and I don't need them to be different. I don't need them to do anything different. I just show up and like share my experience and like see what happens. And like, I still really love them. Like, they don't disappoint me. You know what I mean? Like, I've never had that experience before. It's really cool. I'm telling you, this is what I'm talking about with like my relationship with God. Like, it has completely changed in the last, honestly, like, Alcoholics Anonymous will do so much for you in such a short time. Like, it's only been like 6 to 8 months, I don't know. Having like a new experience here, and it just like, I don't know, it's been incredible. Let's see, I have a new home group. I miss my firing. They're so nice. Look at them. They're all right there. I was a group I was a part of in Baltimore, and you guys should go see them too. They're great. It's a book study. It's a great time. But I have a new home group in Georgetown in DC, which is like it's so different. It's like just even like AA just like reflects the communities that you're in. So it's just like the people are just kind of different, and like AA is its own like cultural something. You know what I mean? Like if you go 30 minutes or like 30 miles in any direction, you know what I'm talking about. It's just like different everywhere you go, and so it's taken some time to adjust to some of that. And but I have a home group there. I have a little women's group that I like, and these women have really grown on me. You know, they care about some things that like I was never really like brought up in AA to like care about. But again, it's like my heart is like softening. You know what I mean? Like my heart is like softening to like, who the hell cares? Like, it's really not that big of a deal. And like in me is like it's not even that serious. You know what I mean? Like it's just not the point. Like, I don't need to be like upset that they value something that like wasn't that important to me in my sobriety. You know what I mean? Like we have more things in common than different. If I'm just like willing to listen, and like again, this respect thing comes up over and over again. Like in my sobriety, where it's like if I can just like actually like find it within my heart to like respect these people and like look at them like equals that I respect, instead of like people that don't know, or like for them they haven't had the experience that I've had or something. You know what I mean? Like it is like it's been remarkable for me in just like participating in my life without attachment. let's see, what else do we need to say? Yep, I have a sobriety date, I have a home group, I have a sponsor, take people through stuff. Yeah, and those things are important to me in my sobriety, and I'm supposed to talk about step 2, and I was reflecting on it. I was doing a little bit of reading in We Agnostics last night, and I've heard step 2, and everybody shares so far. Again, it's impossible to talk about these steps in isolation from each other, and Sarah did like a beautiful job of talking about step 1. I had different circumstances than Sarah, but I know what she's talking about. You know what I mean? Like I didn't have kids. Wasn't married. I didn't go to jail. You know what I mean? Like I didn't have those things, but I know exactly what she's talking about, and like I know what it's like to have a drink come to my hand and me going no, and doing it anyway. I know what it's like to ask God to just kill me. I don't want to do this anymore. And I did. I was suicidal. And I did hit that point, right, where like alcohol stopped working for me. Right, where like it just wouldn't give me that like overwhelming like relief that it did in the beginning. I also appreciated what you said about like as long as I can remember, right, I can remember being uncomfortable. Like I don't know when that was, like when that started for me, but I can just remember being uncomfortable in my own skin. And like, oh my God, the anxiety is just real. You know what I mean? Like it is like a prison. It just like physically takes over my body. Like now that I've been sober, almost 9 years, it's like I'm like, I can notice these things now where I'm just like, but it is like such a physical experience. I don't even think I realized like how physical it was when I was like in high school, and it is painful. It is terrifying. And it was just very uncomfortable. And I somewhere, along the way, developed these ideas about myself that I'm just like not enough, like not good enough, not pretty enough, not smart enough, not interesting enough, not clever enough. I would like look around at my peers and I could just see these things that like they had that was like valuable and attractive. Like some of them were like very academically inclined or like artistic or athletic or just like beautiful, you know what I mean? And or just really funny, you know what I mean? I could see that in my peers and be like, wow, they're incredible. And I just felt like I was like average at all of those and like not enough to be like worthy of anything really. And I think even before alcohol, like the attention, validation, all of that, like that filled me up first. But I can remember like my first real experience with alcohol. Like I was at a high school party and I was terrified of everybody there. And I just I was all those things I was telling you about, like this physical experience of anxiety where like my chest is very tight, my palms are sweaty, my shoulders are up here, and like, God, it's like how I felt before I came up here. I don't feel bad anymore. I don't feel that anxious anymore. But it's like, everything's just like really tight. And alcohol, like, I remember it just like goes to my lips and hits my chest, and it just like, my body is loose. You know what I mean? Like I'm not even like worried anymore about like how to stand, where to put my hands, like do I hold something, whatever. Like all those things are just like, I just feel like I'm just like sort of an awkward person all the time. And like when I was drinking, like all of that just went away. And like I physically just felt different. I felt loose. I felt okay. When I'm anxious, like I get like sick to my stomach. Like I feel like I'm gonna throw up. Right? It's like when I drink, like that goes away. You know what I mean? Like I don't, like that's not normal. I feel physically better like when I put this like substance into my body. It's remarkable. Like I'm not even talking about the emotional stuff. Like just physically, like it makes me feel like not sick, which is crazy because most people I think are like they feel sick from drinking. You know what I mean? Not me. There are these like red flags in hindsight where I'm like, that was different. Like that was different than my peers. But on top of that, it's like all that not enough stuff, like when I was drinking, it just went away, and I know I'm not talking about the 10th step, but I can't not bring it up, I don't think, because like it talks about in our 10-step promises, like being in a position of neutrality with alcohol, right? Like we're not fighting it, nor are we afraid, whatever, like it's just gone, right? It just doesn't exist for us. And like that's basically like what alcohol did for me with all of that stuff, like all of those insecurities, all that not enough stuff, like it just went away. You know, I wasn't like lifting myself up and being like, no, you are enough, you are pretty, like you do deserve to be here, whatever, you know what I mean? I wasn't, and I'm not like being like, oh, I wish those thoughts would go away, just push them down, you know what I mean? Like none of that's happening. Like it's just gone. And in the absence of those things, like I'm able to like show up authentically and I am who I am and I'm not, like just the absence of that stuff, like my real personality shines through, you know what I mean? And like that's much more attractive than this like anxious person who wants to be liked, you know? And because I just morph into whatever I think you want me to be. Like, and it's not attractive. People don't really want to, it's not authentic. And like now that I've had a little time sober, it's like those are the things I value the most in the people I want to surround myself with. Like authenticity, like people who are unapologetically themselves, like people who, you know, are interested in what they're interested in. They want to share that with you. You know, even if it's not something we have in common, like I find those people like just great, you know? And alcohol turned me into that, where it's like I could just be myself and like what I like and share it with you because I wasn't worried about, you know, what you were going to think of it. Like, I don't always feel like that in sobriety. Yeah, sometimes I'll keep things to myself if I know you're not going to like it or something. I don't know. As far as, anyway, so just like, it was really early on in my sobriety with my first sponsor that she pointed out to me for the first time that like drinking for an alcoholic was really nothing short of a spiritual experience. Right, that like what happened to me that night in high school and all the other nights, right, where I experienced that overwhelming relief was literally just like a change in my perspective. Right, like nothing else changed, right? There's nothing different about me on the outside. I had the same friends, like same school, same body, you know what I mean? Like I've never really been like that athletic, like same athletic ability. I was probably clumsier. Maybe, I really don't know. I don't know if my coordination got better or worse. At some point it might have gotten better because the anxiety like really gets in the way, you know? Sometimes it would be better, and then when I pass that point, it gets worse, right? Because I'm like the kind of drunk where it's like I have to be carried out. I throw up on the floor and then I cry, you know what I mean? And then like you guys get it. Like I wasn't a fun drunk. I was a sad drunk a lot of the time. Sometimes I just used alcohol to like access my emotions that like I couldn't access. Like it was really just like this vehicle for authenticity. Like I could not be honest about anything that was going on with me. There was stuff going on with my family in high school, and like I just couldn't talk about it really. And then I would get drunk, and it would just all come out. And I used alcohol to just access that. Like it was everything. You know what I mean? Like it was the power, right? And so my first sponsor, just like she laid this program out like so. It was exactly what I needed. Like at that point in my sobriety, like it was not. Like we didn't even read a lot of the book. Like we just read like a paragraph here, a paragraph there, because I don't think I could like take it all in. I don't know. But she was just like, Caroline, like alcohol gave you real power. You know, it gave me real power to like be okay in my own skin. And now that power was gone, gone somewhat by a commitment to sobriety, right? But also by like that experience of drinking and having really nothing but sadness exist. You know, like I would drink at the end and I would just feel so sad. I was suicidal. I didn't think that there would be a life for me where I could stop drinking, frankly. Alcoholics Anonymous works for miracles. Like I really didn't think that I would ever be sober. Like, which is like such a low bar from where I am right now. Do you know what I mean? Like I didn't think that like sobriety would be possible for me. Because I had tried really hard to just like accomplish that and I couldn't do it. And so I was suicidal. I think like those things are related, right? It's like I didn't think I could ever be sober. I did not want to live the way that I was living. I was existing to drink. Yeah, like suicide really did look like a good option. Just like that, I mean, that just like goes to show it's like without a power, right? Because at that point, alcohol had stopped working for me. It's like I don't have the tools to like see anything clearly. Like I don't, like without that power, like the mind, kind of like what Sarah was talking about, like becomes the power. And like it often leads me to like those weird places, right? Where it's like you should just kill yourself. Like this is too painful and you're never gonna get better. You know, like I really, like what I'm trying to just share with you guys is like I desperately need a higher power. Because without one, things get really weird. And I want to share some of that with you guys as best as I can. Let me take a pause, I forget where I was going. So I think I'm going to tell you a little bit about, oh, there's so much I could say now. Now I feel like I don't have enough time, which is so weird. Okay. I think like, it's like the depth of my step one, like it's become much and much more, I can't find the right word. My step one experience has become deeper and deeper, like the longer I've stayed sober. And I think why that is like a big realization for like why I need God so bad, you know, because these things like keep coming up. And like when I was going through the book the first time with my sponsor, like when we were doing kind of like, you know, the step one leads to step two. So like we're in the step one and she's asking me these questions like I think we're in the doctor's opinion, and it's that piece, oh my God, I like can't quote the book anymore, which is like probably a sign of like beautiful spiritual growth. I'm serious. Sorry. But like there's like that piece in the book where it's talking about like the human powers that we've tried in the doctor's opinion. I cannot remember for the life of me the wording. But it's like, whatever. And she's like asking me, she's like, have you tried some of these things? Like, what have you tried, basically? Like, what things have you tried to get and stay sober, you know? And the first one would be, like, a relationship. Like, I always thought if I just, like, found the right guy, then I wouldn't have to drink as much. You know what I mean? I don't think I thought I would not drink. But I was like, I wouldn't have to drink as much, and it would, like, manage it. And, like, I did have that experience sometimes. Like, when I would get into a new relationship, and that power source would be coming from, like, this new relationship, and my drinking would sort of, like, calm down a little bit, you know, and I could look like it wasn't, like, a terrible mess. You know, she had asked me about, like, different, like, medical things that I had tried, you know, and, like, if I thought those things were going to help me stop drinking, and they never did. They never really got to the problem, you know. And the thing about this, like, I don't know, it's like my experience here is like I can really only access like the true power like in the absence of like those other powers, you know? And like there's a lot of things that like I need total abstinence from. And I probably could qualify for a number of 12-step fellowships. But I'm here at this one. And it's alcohol, right? Alcohol's one, right? That's why like it can be really hard, right, to like access this power, like really if I'm feeding it with like this other power that kind of does the job, you know? Later on in my sobriety, it's like I'm just so obsessed. Oh, one of the biggest ones is like, I don't even know what's bigger. Could be like the relationship stuff or just like wanting to do everything right. I think, and just like wanting my sponsor to approve of me and think that I was good, and that I was the best, you know what I mean, or like the best sponsee, or you know what I mean. And it's like I was really reflecting on that and thinking like, it's not that, like I think there was this part of me that it's like if I just thought that if like everybody thought I was good, and I don't even mean like being like a good girl, I mean like good, like in my like good in my heart, you know, like me, I'm good. If I could, like, if other people thought that, and, like, if other people would, like, tell me that, then, like, that's how I would determine if I was good or not, you know? So it's, like, if I sense that you didn't approve, or, like, I'm so good at, like, sniffing out what I think my sponsor wants me to do, and it's just, like, oh, it's been such a prison, you know what I mean? It really has, like, that's not the point. Oh, my God, it's not the point. Like, that's why I'm having this beautiful experience with God, like, we're just a bunch of drunks, you know what I mean? Like, and we're so nutty. Like, we do crazy things in sobriety. Like, and like, it's, I think my sponsor's doing great, honestly. And anyway, so that's not the point. But the point is, it's like, in order for me to like have any kind of life that's like really fulfilled in any way, like that power, like it exists within me. Like our book says that. Like, it's not out there, and it's not about like. Controversial thing, I think. Because service is a part of like how I connect with God, but like I have run away from myself with service, right? Like, and that's not it for me. Like, that's not it. Like, and I'm having this insane experience where, like, I call my sponsor. It's this first person that just doesn't tell me what to do. She won't. And I try. Like, she won't. Do you know what I mean? Because that's what I'm used to. I'm like, just tell me the thing to do. And I take so much comfort in that because it is such a delusion that, like, if I think that, like, I do this, this, and this, and sponsor says it's right, so it must be right, you know what I mean? Or if I do the steps, like, exactly the right way, perfect, and I spend the right amount of time in meditation and morning prayer, and I read the right books that my sponsor says are good books, you know what I mean? Then I will, you guys get it. then I'll be okay. You know what I mean? And, like, it's just such, I mean, only an alcoholic, you know what I mean? It's like, I take the program, and then I try to, like, suck the life out of that, right? And it's like almost there, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, you're so close. Because, like, that's the piece that, like, is supposed to connect me, right, to the power, you know? But I just get real caught up in, like, some of our, like, I don't know, cultural stuff, I guess. Let me take a pause again. I remember, like, this time at some point in my sobriety, maybe like 2 or 3 years, and like I had a boyfriend at the time. It was like oh my God, I'm so embarrassed to say this. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I will. Like, one of the main reasons why I dated him is because I knew my sponsor would approve of him, and it's like that's crazy. You know what I mean? Like, that was, like, one of the main reasons. And that's how I dated him for, like, 2 years. And it was never really, like, a good connection there, honestly. That's how deep it goes for me. I'll just say that. And so it was him. Like, he was very opinionated. My sponsor had a lot of opinions. My mom had a lot of opinions. And they were all in contradiction of each other. And these were all people that I put on, like, some kind of pedestal that, like, I need to listen to these people. You know what I mean? I treated them in some capacity like my higher power. And I've never felt more conflicted and in turmoil and I don't even, I'm trying to find the right word. It's like, I was just not okay. I never felt okay. I never felt like I was doing the right thing. I was always disappointing somebody. And it's like, again, it's just a complete, like, I miss the mark. You know what I mean? It's like I'm missing the mark of, like, what we're supposed to be doing here is, like, and it's what I'm truly beginning to experience now is, like, accessing this power from within and, like, really thinking, like, what is this, and, like, relying on, like, that intuition that exists within and accessing God and using that to determine choices. You know? Crazy. Like, it's like everybody talks about it, and I just couldn't get there. Let me take another pause. And I think, too, I want to share with you, this is what I started to say and got lost, because I'm sure that there are people who are like, maybe just not, maybe you're sober, maybe relate to some of this, maybe some of it's, like, over your head, or just you're not. Anyway, I want to talk about, like, my first experience with step 2. And this is what I was talking about with my sponsor, that, like, we read a paragraph here and, like, a paragraph there, and, like, we got to the part in We Agnostics where it was like, oh my God, this is how bad I am at quoting the book now, where it was like, do you believe that, like, a higher power could, like, actually, like, could just exist at all, or something, and I was just like, huh, you know what I mean, which is really not even, like, the essence of, like, how step 2 is written in our steps, right? It's like, can I believe that power can restore me to sanity? That's a different question than just saying, like, do I think a higher power exists? You know, like, I've heard, like, different sponsors of mine have said something like, am I powerful enough to stop a tsunami? Right, like, can I control the weather? And it's like, of course not. Do you know what I mean? Like, of course there are these powers that are greater than me. But it's a different thing to be like, do I want to believe in it? You know what I mean? And then I think, so we were reading, actually we got a little bit more in Agnostics. We were reading that part of the book where it was, like, talking about, you know, like, religions of the world and wars fought over religion. Anyway, this is my interpretation of what's in the book, so it's not exactly how it's written. But, like, wars over religion and, you know, people who claim to be godly, who maybe weren't acting, like, of spiritual principles, right, who were doing bad things to people, hurting people and claiming to be, you know, a member or a leader in certain religious organizations. And I use those things to kind of, like, separate myself from the idea of God. And I also thought, when I was new, I thought that, like, believing in God made you weak. Like, I related to that part in the book, too, where I was just like, I just thought it made you kind of stupid, you know? That, like, if you didn't, like, I just thought it was, like, a cop-out. Some of judgments I had made, I went to school in South Carolina, there's a lot of religious people there. And I had never met people really like that, on a close, like, intimate level, like my peers. And I was just like, you guys are just, like, ignoring some pretty key scientific points. You know what I mean? I just, like, didn't, like, anyway. So I was, like, very judgmental of that, where I was like, you just must not be very smart, you know, like, to buy into this. I don't get that. And so and it was just also, again, like, just another way to separate myself. And because I also had those moments, like, these things can't exist in the same house, you know what I mean? Where, like, we're gonna be drinking and I would pray and I would be like, God, help me, like, help me, help me, help me, help me, help me, like, and nobody's there. Who am I talking to? Do you know what I mean? So it's like, there's some acknowledgement that, like, this power exists, right? But I can't, when I come in, I, like, I don't know, forget about all that stuff, or, like, forget about those moments where I was really desperate and praying to a God I didn't believe in. And then, this is what I think actually was, like, a sincere experience with step 2. Well, maybe it came later. But I'll tell you, my first step 2, I was sitting there with my first sponsor, and we're talking about, like, the religions of the world, and I was expressing my, you know, opinions. And she just looked me in the eye, and she was like, do you believe that I believe? And I was like, well, yeah. Because she was, like, very active in AA. Like, she was, like, all over the place. Like, I remember I was, like, driving on the side of the road, and she's, like, reading the big book with, like, a homeless person. I'm just like, what? I'm like, that's my sponsor. You know what I mean? Like, she was, like, everywhere. And she was at, like, every meeting. And I was like, of course she believes in this. Like, look at her go. You know what I mean? So, it was, like, it's the truth. That's why sponsorship is so beautiful. Like, and honestly, like, my drive to have that woman, like, approve of me, like, probably saved my life. You know what I mean? Like, I did everything that she wanted me to do because I wanted her to like me so bad. And guess what? Here I am. You know what I mean? Like, it is okay. Like, it's okay. It doesn't mean that it's wrong or bad. Like, it's just the experience that I had, and I'm having a really cool one now. So I knew that she believed, and then she was like, great. And then we moved on. Like, we were quick going through the book. Like, she was like, cool, step 3. And I was like, all right, like, that feels a little quick, but let's go. But I want to tell you, like, something that I think, I don't remember if this hit, like, it was soon after that, but I remember, like, because it talks about it in Weak Gnostics too, where it's like, when we look at the starlit night, right, and we wonder, like, who then made all this, right? And I remember being at my Nana's funeral when I was in college, and it was, like, probably the beginning of my drinking getting bad. And, like, I remember feeling like, for the first time, like, I had this, like, shame that she could, like, see what was going on, that she had passed, you know what I mean? I was just like, oh, I was very ashamed that Nana could see what was really going on, because I wasn't being honest with anybody. I didn't tell anybody in any way. I've had to keep those secrets kept tight, and I felt feeling ashamed that she could see me. And then, like, I remember being at her funeral and, like, just looking, they're, like, putting her casket in the ground, and I looked up at the sky, and, like, the sun just, like, came through this, like, beautiful tree with, like, green leaves, and the wind was blowing, and I just felt like it was my Nana. You know, like, and I those are the thoughts that, like, I could latch onto when I was new. And some of these experiences are just insane. Like, I have these, like, insane emotional experiences. I made an amend to my Nana, honestly, like, sitting alone in my bedroom on my bed, and been calling my sponsor before because I'm like, I don't know what to do, you know what I mean? And she's like, just talk to her. And I was like, okay. So I hung up the phone, and I was, like, bursting out into tears. Like, I didn't know, like, all this stuff I was, like, carrying with her, you know? Again, that was much later in my sobriety, but it's like the beginnings of it were there in the beginning, that it's like I could latch on to this idea that I loved my Nana, and that she was a woman of God, and she loved me, and she was an important person to me, and she gave me a lot of love when I was little that I needed, and she made me feel really special, you know? So I could latch on to that. Like, I could latch on to that idea of her passing and being in a higher place, you know? Or at least that she could have access to this power. So I latched on to that. And then I ran through this work. Like, I ran through it. It's like a full-on sprint for, like, 2 years. Just, like, sponsoring everybody, going to a ton of meetings, and I got lit up for AA. I really did. And then at some point, like I said, I was just trying to outrun myself. Like, there were things there that, like, I needed to begin to look at, and it was just, I don't know, I was just running away. And then again, I got to a point where I just felt like I knew everything. I mean, this is the first time, I guess, probably, where I felt like I knew everything. It's like you go through the steps once, and you're like, I got it. I can't be taught, you know what I mean? I'm the teacher, like, and I had a new experience, you know? Like, I had a new experience with the book, and my last sponsor, like, she really helped me identify the problems, I think. Like some of the themes that were existing, like some of them to be like, that idea mostly that like, I don't have a cat. I did for a couple weeks, it was really sad. That like I'll die alone with the cat, you know what I mean? And like, no one's ever really gonna love me. And like what's underneath all of that is just like, I'm not really lovable. I'm like just inherently broken. You guys can see that. That's why none of this stuff is working out. And she helped me really like get to the root of some of that stuff. And I've been there, like, Sarah was talking about like not choosing when we surrender. Like, I relate to that so much. Like, there have been so many times, and I wish it wasn't that way. You know what I mean? Oh my God, I wish I could tell somebody what they need to do to surrender. Like, it is like so painful. But I've been there at different points in my sobriety. Like, again, it's usually me crying alone. In my place, like on the couch or something. You know what I mean? It's not very profound, but it feels profound to me because it's like I'm putting all of my like everything like into it with God, and I'm just like, please take this. You know what I mean? It's like I got to the place. You know what I mean? Where I could see for the first time that like I just thought things were like happening like around me, and what happened to me. In my sobriety, because I thought like, I'm like, why, like, why do I keep ending up with like this same kind of guy, like pretty controlling, you know what I mean? And like, there's a reason for that, like there's a reason. It's because like, I'm literally looking for someone like to be the power. And so if somebody shows up and they're like, yeah, I'm going to control it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and this, right? And like, and I'll listen to them, like, and then it becomes weird, you know what I mean? Because like that's not healthy. That doesn't work out in my experience anyway. But it's like I couldn't see that I was looking for that I was seeking that. I thought it was happening to me. I didn't know that. And then I wish, it's like the same thing with step one. It's like, wish the knowledge was enough, you know what I mean? Because then it's like, I'm just still doing it, you know what I mean? And then I would just still get like obsessed with these people, and it would just be so painful, and I didn't want to be that way anymore, and I cried. I did these 7 steps, like alone in my place, just like praying to God, like, take it, please, like, I don't want it, I don't want it, and I don't know, like, some of that exists still, you know what I mean? Like, I've learned in my sobriety, like, and I've learned a lot, like, in the last couple years of just, like, that I don't need to be any other way than how I am. I really thought that, like, at certain points in my sobriety, like, I shouldn't be struggling with this anymore. And I shouldn't be, like, oh my God, the amount of, like, emotional breakdowns that exist in sobriety, like, I wish people would talk about it more. Like, you know what I mean? Like, how many of my friends, like, almost, like, commit themselves to the psych wards at different points? Like, let's talk about that. Like, it happens, right? Because it's, like, these things come up, and, like, I don't really know, like, what to do with it. And it just gets so painful that, like, Again, I turn back to Alcoholics Anonymous, right? Like, that's the step 2, right? It's the step 2 for me, has literally and unfortunately or fortunately, whatever, like, always been that, like, I don't know what else to do. You know what I mean? And I'm like, well, I go to therapy again, you know what I mean? Which is, like, I'm not knocking it. Like, therapy has actually been really helpful for me. But it's like, I need a spiritual program. Like, I need it to, like, oh my God, this is what I want to tell you guys about. Like I have the phenomenon of craving with like a lot. Like starting with alcohol, right? Like that one's pretty obvious. And if you don't know what the phenomenon of craving is, that's like this thing that like once I put that first one in me, like I can't stop. You know what I mean? Like I need more and more and more and more and more. And it's like this insatiable thing in me that just demands more and doesn't ever really get filled up, right? And this is what this new experience has been for me. Like, I've always kind of known, like, there's been stuff with food, but it's like, I cannot have, like a jar of peanut butter in my house, because, like, it will be gone in, like, 2 days. Like, a fucking, like, peanut butter, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, there's, like, something about it for me that, like, it just, anyway. And then, like, this other way of just, like, and, like, I don't know, forgive me, Matt, for saying, but it's about me. there'll be times where it's like, I'll just be like feeling that like, ugh, like that, kind of dis-ease within me. And I'll look over at him and I'll be like, are you mad at me? You know what I mean? Or like, you know what I mean? Or like, do I look pretty? Like, like, oh my God. And it's just, it is like, I need like total abstinence, like from that. Because it's this insatiable thing inside me, like, poor guy, like, and like, he can't say anything. Do you know what I mean? To like fill that up, and then it just like, I'm just like, what? And then it, like, I'm like, well, that tone was weird or something, you know what I mean? And it just like, these people get it. They're like, it's like, it's filling this thing in me that like, I need to be okay. And my last sponsor hinted at this. She tried to help me get there a little bit, but I didn't quite get all the way there. But like when I was doing a step 2 with my old sponsor, I remember she had me think about some moments in my life where I felt peaceful, that I wasn't on like drugs or alcohol, and that I was like by myself. You know what I mean? It wasn't about like validation. And I think I was able to come up with like one of those, because I made a list, you know what I mean, but I had to like cross them off, and I was like, I think I was high, you know what I mean, or whatever, like, so like I found one that was like good, and it was like when I was driving back from a meeting, and I felt good about like, I guess I was interacting with people, but it was like sincere, and I was listening to music. It was like a really nice day, and I'd like put the windows down in my car, and I was like singing in the car by myself, and like I just felt like really content, and she had me like set timers on my phone, and just like go back to those moments, as like a means of like really accessing God, and I still do that sometimes, it's like when those feelings of like, I can just get real like tight, you know what I mean, like real tight sometimes, and like I need those things to kind of just like bring me back to earth. And then my current sponsor, like, this has been like some of the craziest experiences. Like, it's literally like the first time in my sobriety that like my prayer and like meditation actually feels like right for me. And like I feel good doing it. You know what I mean? Like, and I heard people talk about that, and I never really related to it, because like I always just like read the things that like I thought I was supposed to. You know what I mean? And like they were nice or whatever, but I kind of had to force myself to do it. I didn't enjoy it. And so she had me think about like some things that like I really enjoy doing, and I was like, you know what? And I don't even know if I ever fully did the activity she asked me to do, but I came up with like a couple of things, which like again, it's like it's cool, right? I still got there, you know what I mean? It's like I took the direction enough, right, to like get to the point of what she was trying to get me to do. Like, oh, thank God, right? It's cool. I don't have to beat myself up about that. And I like started to like, I realized that I like to like paint these like little rocks. Sometimes people see them, you see them like when they're walking around or whatever, these little painted rocks, and like it has become like, I love it. Like, I love doing it. Like, I don't paint a rock every day, but I'll tell you guys this, like, so I don't do every day, but I do enough of them, and I really love them. Like, I really love it. Like, I feel so good doing it, and it's creative, and I am a creative person, and like, it gets that like going for me, and I feel peaceful when I do it, and like, I don't know why it took so long to make the connection that like God wants me to feel that way, and like that's okay. And if I'm feeling like that, and it's like I have to be able to discern, you know what I mean? Like, is it coming from validation? Am I, like just because I feel good, like those dopamine hits or whatever, like that doesn't mean it's from God. But like there are those things that like that I know bring me that kind of like real like peace and connection. And like it just took me a little while to be like, well, that's a spiritual practice, and like it is for me. And I'll tell you guys this little story, and I have such like white bread trauma, like I really do. But like Matt and I, we like just we got a cat a couple weeks ago, and like I was like obsessed with him. This little black cat named Thomas. And like every day I would like walk by and just be like, you're so perfect, like you're so good, like you're such a good kitty, you know what I mean? I was like, we were just obsessed with him, and it was like our first that we were like, you know, we loved it together, and like it was like our little like unit, like our little family unit of like us and this cat, and like we poured our love into this cat, and like he died suddenly a couple weeks after we got him, you know, and like we're just like sad, right? It was like devastating, and we're grieving this cat who we loved so much, you know what I mean? And like this cat loved us, and it was beautiful. And I was at the retreat when I found out, and I was just sitting there like doing some of my writing in the morning, and like what came from that was just like sadness, you know what I mean, which is like an appropriate response to that. Like it's like sadness is okay. I wasn't angry at anybody, you know what I mean? It wasn't mad. It was just really sad, and I just started to think about like what can I do, you know, to memorialize this little kitty, because I wanted him to know that like we thought his life mattered, you know, even though we only had him for. We didn't just want to be like, it didn't matter. It mattered a lot, you know what I mean? We thought we were going to have him for years, and he wasn't there that long. And so like I painted this little rock of him, you know? Like where he's like I have him, he's like a crescent moon, and he's like sitting on the moon. He's like a little black cat, you know? And like those spiritual practices, like they're personal to me, right? And it means a lot to me. Because sometimes I'll pick up my guitar. I haven't picked it up in years. And don't ask me to do anything with the guitar. I have no rhythm. But I like to play it by myself. You know what I mean? And I like play it by myself, and like it's fun, and I feel good. And like I didn't know that like that's what God wants for me. Like I thought I only deserved that love if I did everything right. I don't need to do it. Like I don't need to do anything right. Like God loves me right now. God loved me when I was a mess. You know what I mean? And like God loved me when I was doing all that, I mean, just seeking all the powers in the different places, but like I don't have to do anything like to be worthy of that. I don't know where along the line I thought that. Let's see. How are we gonna wrap this up? I think I just want to say that like I can't say anything I haven't already said, but I just want to say it again. Like Alcoholics Anonymous, like works real miracles, and I see them. They're all in this room. I'm not exaggerating. People used to say that, I'd be like, whatever. You know what I mean? It's insane what happens here. Like it really is like, it is remarkable, the kind of change that happens for people here. And like there's so much available to us. Like, and maybe I'll just end with this. It's like for me, there has always been a new experience. Always. And every time I did not think that that would be the case. So, I don't know, like we don't get here and get like rendered white as snow and like don't ever like feel emotions or, you know, go through difficult things in sobriety. Like that's not been my experience. But I will say, having been here for almost 9 years, like the people who I've known who have left AA, like their lives were just better when they were here. And I don't know that they always felt good, you know? I think that there were things that were hard for them in sobriety, but I can tell you it was a lot better. Their lives were a lot better than when they were here than when they weren't. So if you're just kind of in that like in-between spot where you feel like, maybe I'm not feeling that, like, because sometimes these things, like, people speak from the podium, and it's, like, not a knock at all, it's beautiful, but it's just, like, and everything is just powerful and beautiful and great, and it's just, like, it's easy to feel, like, separate from that. And I don't know what my point is, other than, like, we're all here, like, having a human experience, like, growing towards a higher power together, and we're highly flawed. And just stick around. Thanks for letting me share.
Thank you, Carolyn, and we'll be back at 11:30.